What's up, guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and since Halo 4 is just about 10 days away, I figured I might as well take a look back at an older Halo figure from Halo 3. Now, I know I started doing my reviews pretty much after this line came out, so I don't have actually I don't think I have any Halo 3 reviews. So I figured if I'm going to do any, I might as well go big. So I figured we might as well look at the 12-inch Master Chief, and then his variants, the blue and the brown Spartans. So let's go ahead and first get a height. He's supposed to be 12 inches tall. Let's see how that... Oh, he's actually about 12¼ inches tall, so definitely a good size figure. He's just really massive, probably weighs about 1.5 pounds. So very, very big. It's basically the exact same figure as the small one, just bigger. Slightly different though. I'll show you those things. I'll point them out as we go. But still just a really cool looking figure. Accessory wise, he comes with the assault rifle. The peg is removable. As you can see, it's in his back now, just like the smaller figures. Leaves kind of a big gap in there, but what are you going to do, right? And then he also has a grenade. This peg is not removable, but that's okay because you can peg it right into his hand, and it helps him to hold it because he really couldn't hold it very well otherwise. But it looks pretty good once it's actually in his hand, so that's fine. And of course, he's got the peg holes on both sides of his belt. He's got a peg hole on this hip, or this thigh, and then one in his back for his gun. So that works out. We'll just leave the grenade in there. This hand is not posable. It's sculpted like that. This hand is posable, unfortunately. I don't think that it really should be. I think they should have just stuck with it the way they did for the smaller figures. He can hold the gun, obviously, because he's got all these posable fingers, but because they're posable and they're pretty loose, he doesn't hold it very well. You're going to spend a lot of time finagling that and getting him to hold it just right. So I think maybe if they used a softer rubber and just left it a solid sculpt, you'd be able to fit it on his hand a little bit better, and it would stay a little bit better. And it wouldn't look quite so goofy. The fingers they just aren't great overall. They do have like a ball peg for each major knuckle, and then he's got hinges for each of the other knuckles, and then the rest of it is just sculpted. But they're just kind of weird looking. The thumb is just about the same. It's got this weird ball swivel thing going on at the big knuckle, and then a little hinge there. So it's just kind of a weird looking hand overall. It's not horrible. You won't think too much of it once you get imposed, but it just looks kind of weird overall. As far as articulation goes for the head, it's a ball peg that goes into the helmet, and then there's actually another peg down here, a ball peg that goes into the neck. So he's got pretty good range of motion for being relatively thick and chunky, but it looks pretty good. I mean, you can pretty much get him in any pose you want without it looking like there's an actual point of articulation there, so that's nice. The shoulders are ratcheted ball discs. Oh no, they're not actually, I forgot. It's been a while since I looked at this. Okay, so there's a swivel here for this ball. It's not actually a ball peg, so that has a swivel there, and then there's a hinge in here that's kind of built into the shoulder, or into the top of the bicep, where it actually rotates up onto that ball. So the ball itself doesn't spin like the little ones had. So it's a little bit different. The shoulder pads do come off, although for Chief you really have no reason to take them off. I'll show you that on the variants, but we'll just leave that there for now. So there's a bicep swivel then at the bottom of the shoulder ball. There's also a swivel at the elbow, just like the Reach figures. And that swivels also at the forearm and has the hinge. Now that's how the hinge works for the shoulder too, by the way. It's the same type of joint there. So great range of motion there, swivels all over the place, hinge there. Wrist is just a standard ball peg, so relatively limited there. The torso has a ball at the top and a ball inside the abdomen, and then a bar connecting them. So even though it's relatively limited, you do have the articulation there, and it has a twist in it. So pretty good range of motion. Pretty much whatever you need to do, you can get it done. Now the hips are kind of a strange joint. This part here it rotates. Each one is kind of like a T-joint, so it goes in and then has a thing inside, so that just rotates. It's ratcheted like that. So that rotates there. This part of the hip spins around this way on that. You can see the cut joint. So it spins there. And then this has kind of like a swivel in it there. And it works like the shoulder and the elbow. So you've just got a huge amount of articulation. It does give them kind of a diaper shape. A lot of people complained about that, but it is a relatively decent looking piece of articulation, and it's good range of motion, so I'm okay with it personally. Now you have a ratcheted knee joint here. It does swivel at the top, and that's it though for the knee. It doesn't have a swivel in the shin. Then the ankle is basically the same thing as the elbow. It rotates at the top of the ball, at the bottom of the ball, and it's ratcheted, so plenty of range of motion there. And then the toe, just a regular hinge joint in there, and then it rotates. So pretty good range of motion overall, lots of points of articulation, pretty good figure. My biggest complaint, if I had to come up with one, is I think the legs are just a little bit too big, a little bit too wide, a little bit too long, and then the shoulders and the chest are just a little bit too narrow. But once you get imposed, you can actually get some pretty decent looking stances, and you kind of just forget about those things that I just pointed out. So let me put them in a quick pose so you can see what I'm talking about, and then I'll show you the variants. It's definitely a nice display piece due to its size, and it's a great paint application overall. Kind of hard to do this looking through the camera, but it'll get the job done. So if you wanted to just pose him kind of in a stance like that, and of course I didn't put a whole lot of time into it, but you can see he stands pretty well, looks good, really nice display piece overall. Great figure. I do highly recommend it. They're actually pretty cheap right now too. I suspect they might go up in price with the new game coming out, so if you're going to get one, you should probably do that soon. Now as far as the variants go, there's one which was a Toys R Us exclusive, which is a brown Spartan. Same exact everything other than he's got the yellow stripe on his arm, and obviously he's brown. So there's that one. And then we also have a Walmart exclusive version, which is, like most Walmart exclusives, blue, and it has the yellow stripe, and otherwise it's the exact same as well. Now you can buy alternate heads, but that's it. They never gave you a chance to buy a new chest armor or shoulder armor, even though both do come off, just like the smaller figures. So you can swap out that stuff, but they never gave us any. And of course the heads do pop off for the alternate heads, but they're super hard to take off, so be careful when doing that. Okay, so there it is. That's the 12-inch Master Chief figure. It's a great figure. I highly, highly, highly recommend it, especially since Halo 4 is coming out. I think these are probably going to go up in value at least a little bit, so go find one if you can. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for some more good stuff, and in the meantime, keep collecting.